Today is March 26th, 2021, and my name is Christina George, and I am doing a walking tour. I'm going to be doing a walking tour of Grantville, which is part of the bigger Mission Valley area, and we're going to be ending in Serra Mesa. As we're looking down the road right here, this is some of the unincorporated and undeveloped area of Grantville. This is actually looking east on San Diego Mission Road. As we swing through, you can see some development here, some apartments. We see a school, and we also see the Mission Basilica San Diego de Alcala. Just a little bit of information about Grantville. Grantville was started in 1887 by Junipero Land and Water Company to be home to the Civil War veterans. Effort died after first building due to lack of money and wills. They literally built one building in this area. It was all farmland, and then they stopped. The Grantville was actually named in honor of Ulysses S. Grant. He is the 18th president and important general during the Civil War. And it's been known for the last 100 years or so as an industrial and business area mainly, and people would really like to see it converted into a commercial and residential area, especially with a new college coming into this area in the near future. And recently the whole area has been rezoned for this recently. So as we're going to do is we're going to take a walk, and we're going to be heading west, and we're going to do our walking tour going through Grantville. So here we're going to the Mission Basilica San Diego de Alcala. You can see the sign up here. This isn't the original location of the mission, but we'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. So here is the sign for this location, and we're actually going to swing up to the right here and go up the steps as we learn a little bit of history. So this was California's first mission, and the first of 21 missions leading from San Diego to San Francisco. It was founded on July 16, 1769 by Saint Junipero Serra, a Franciscan priest, and it was relocated to this site that we're at right now in 1744 to be closer to the American Indian Kumeyaay villages and to be close to a reliable water source, which is the San Diego River, and it was known as good land for farming because it was close to that water source. In 1775, the fort was raided by Indians and burned it substantially. And so they added an outer defense wall to protect the mission in 1776. And we're going to get a chance once we go up these stairs to be able to see that. And then at the time, because this was all farmland, it wasn't developed like it is now in an urban sector. There was 55,000 acres, including vineyards, orchards, vegetable gardens. They had 20,000 sheep, 10,000 cattle, and 1,250 houses in this area. It was all rural farmland, and it was on the hinterland at the time. So, and this mission currently sits along the El Camino Real, meaning the Royal Road, which is the King's Highway, and we'll see a little bit more about that road in the future. So now we're going to see the mission a little bit up close. We'll come here to the right and kind of walk up so you can see. A lot of this building has been redone to be kept up with, and through the years, decay. And as we get closer here, you'll see some of the original architecture mixed with some of the renovation and improvements they've done to it. If you look down, you can see some of the bricks, the original bricks that they used. Here you can see some of their saints. And then of course they've got bars on them to protect them because this is now a landmark. And if you look here, you can kind of see where some of the gardening took place. And so once again, this was a place for people to come together. It was a sense of community. And in 1821, the mission was given to Santiago Arguello after Mexico gained its independence from Spain. And it was returned to the church, which it is today, in 1862 after ordered by President Abraham Lincoln after being used by the U.S. Cavalry as a military presence. And then the city of Grantville itself was created soon afterwards. So we're going to go down here and see a little bit more about the mission. The mission was eventually named after Saint Didacus, meaning Diego, the saint whom San Diego Bay and the region was named after. And the word Alcala came from the city that Saint Didacus lived in Spain. Today it is an important landmark for people in the community as an active Catholic church and cultural center and gathering center for people of all faiths. And here's a plaque just telling a little bit about it. Okay, and as we keep going here, once again you can see this is now, it's a museum, a cultural center, and a historic landmark. So all three. And so once again, the first mission in California. And here's a good plaque kind of describing a little bit about the first mission. And if you notice the walls, a lot of them have been redone, but originally this was a mission style, which a lot of times was adobe brick and made out of brick and wood. And so a lot of the structure has had to be redone. But here it looks like an original wooden door, pretty thick. We come up close, it actually looks like this was burned. Maybe this is part of the fire they had. And what you're seeing here is these massive walls that were put up as their outer defense walls in 1776. And here we go, you can kind of see the first, this is the door for the church. And here's a good look right here at some of the original material used. You can actually see the brick that hasn't been covered over with modern day plaster. And then up here you can also see where some of the plaster is peeled on the wall. You can also see some of the original bricks up by the bell tower. And if you go up, that is the standard mission look. Comes from Spain. And then we'll keep going down San Diego Mission Road. And as we can see, people are still actively using this mission, both as a church and a cultural center. And you can see there's both elements from the late 17th century all the way into the modern. And once again, here's some of those walls that they had put up for defense. You can see lots of plants. So a lot of this has been restored, and that's important for the community, the sense of pride. And now we're going to go back down to San Diego Mission Road, which once again, this was the original El Camino Real Road, the Royal Road. It's now paved, but at one time it was dirt. And we can actually see some mission bells here in the parking lot. So the San Diego Mission Road, which was the historical El Camino Real Trail, was a historic 700-mile trail that connects all 21 missions, 4 presidios, which are military forts, and several pueblos, which are towns. And if you look right here to my right, you can see that one of the bells, actually there's a couple of the bells, and these aren't the original bells. These are actually cast copies because the original bells fell into disrepair. They were vandalized and stolen. But they are part of the bell marker system, which was established in 1906. And each bell that was along the El Camino Real was about a mile or 2 apart. In 1959, the Division of Highways was legislatively mandated to maintain the marker system. And we're going to see one that's actually on the road, not here in front of the mission, up ahead, and it's about a mile down the road. And so we'll get a chance to actually see that. And then in 1996, Caltrans architecture program did a restoration project to really go through and clean up and maintain all of these bells in California, from here in San Diego all the way up to San Francisco. So we'll get a chance to see one of those. So we're going to keep walking down San Diego Mission Road. And as you can see, we've got a little bit of a hill. You can kind of see there's a lot of nature around us. I just saw a squirrel running in the distance. So even though we're in an urban developed area now, we still are what they call a suburb. So we're still considered suburbia. We're not, you know, by any means in the downtown district. And so there is a lot of nature. You see birds around, you see bunnies. So a lot of nature is still around here, which makes it very green, which is nice for the community. but you also see how we're infringing on nature. Nature is also infringing on the urban development, which can cause some issues. And down here, this is a pretty busy road, and it looks like they just recently added these bike lanes here for safety purposes, because these were never here before. I actually used to live in this area, and it looks like they're trying to make it more transportation friendly. A lot of housing has gone in this area recently to be closer to transportation hubs. And so it looks like they're really trying to revitalize and reform the area to make it a more of a modern urban city, so that it's more walkable, it's more transit oriented. So now we're heading west, we're heading towards the ocean on San Diego Mission Road. And we're gonna come up to more of the residential area. We do have some apartments to our left. And as you can see, lots of nature in this area, which is nice. It's not overly developed, and once again, that's because of the zoning regulations that were in place here for the last, century. And just recently in 2015, they became really aggressive with the zoning and started to change it to be able to redevelop the city. And so as we go out, once again, you can see lots of cars on this road. So it's a very popular road. And at one time, this was the only road in the area. There was no Friars Road, which is actually a major transport road that goes through Mission Valley that runs parallel to this. And we'll see this a little bit later on the tour. And there was no freeways or interstates. And so this was one of the main roads that people used. And this road actually led to what was called Murphy Canyon Road. And that was the main road fairway that went north and south, and it went up to what was called Kearney Naval Base, which is actually now the Miramar base. But that was the main road. It was a dirt road, and actually there's part of that dirt road. We won't see it today, but if you were to go north, you would get a chance to actually still see part of that original dirt road. But these were the main roads, and they weren't paved, and this is how people got around this area. And so now, if you actually see, you can see where man has kind of incorporated. We've got some ice plants here, which are not native plants. So these were brought in. A lot of times they brought them in to kind of help keep the sides of hills from sliding. As they were used for landscaping purposes, they were also used for drought resistance. They're actually not native, and they're very aggressive once they take over an area. And this, once again, is just part of development. If you look here to your left, it looks like we have a tennis court just smack in the middle of this area. So once again, we had a mission, we've got some apartments, we have some industrial businesses to the east, and then we have tennis court. So a lot of really mixed land uses that we have here. And then now as we come up, we're going to be coming up to the corner of San Diego Mission Road and Rancho Mission Road. And on the corner here, you're going to see a mixture. You're going to see commercial businesses, liquor stores, you're going to see an Irish pub, you're going to see restaurants, a 7-Eleven, a flower shop, and then on the other corner, you're going to see a whole bunch of housing. And so this really was the only type of markets or any type of food in this area. So this is more of like a food desert area. But once again, it's because it was an industrial area. I actually read in my research of this neighborhood that people said that this neighborhood was a place that you went to get your tires fixed or get your car fixed or to buy some soup from a local restaurant. Nobody wanted to live here. It was just known as that dirty industrial area. So it really didn't have a really good perception in people's eyes about wanting to live in this area. And once again, a lot of times that's because that industrial is dirty. People left the inner city to come out to the suburbs to get away from that. So once again, this is suburbia, but it's an industrial suburbia. So it's a little bit different of a city than most of your normal cities. So now here you can see coming up to the corner, we've got a luggage store to the left. We've got a 7-Eleven. And look at the style with the arches of the buildings. So very much the same as that Mission style. So in fact, even the names of these roads, San Diego Mission Road, Rancho Mission Road, all of the roads around us, these were all named after Junipero Serra and the missions. They all have this real mission Florence to the architecture and to the names. And you can see that is also apparent when you look in the plaza up here where the liquor store is. Just look at the architecture. So the only thing that you see where that it's not having that mission look is like the 7-Eleven. now, as we come up here, you see once again lots of traffic. This is kind of what you call a break and bulk point. This is where people would come to kind of go different ways. And here, we'll get up on the sidewalk. It's a little dangerous over here. So now, all right, so we are now on the corner of Rancho Mission Road and San Diego Mission Road. We are looking north on Rancho Mission Road from San Diego Mission Road, and you can see a lot of mixed land use. So to the far left, we've got some contemporary high density housing that was just put in within the last 24 months, and we'll talk about that in a moment. And we also have it mixed in, if you can see, there's the Mission Ridge. So once again, that mission style, the mission names all being named after the mission area. And those are all apartments. And these were all part of a low income initiative. Once again, this area originally was for Civil War veterans, and so it was frowned upon. It wasn't where the elite wanted to have their homes. But so once again, they had a lot of apartments come up here. And then further up this road that curves, we actually have some condos. In fact, this is one of the few places that you can see in San Diego where you can still get an affordable condo. Up to the right, I don't know if you can see through the trees up here, lots of nature, which is nice. We have more apartments. So apartments and condos is really the only housing besides the apartments that we passed in front of the mission that's been in this area since the 1970s, okay? And so once again, it was an industrial and commercial area. And then the reason why they built these in the 1970s is because in the 1950s and 1960s, this was the edge of suburbia once again. And tract homes were being built in neighboring Serra Mesa, which is just northwest of where we're at right now. And that was because of the advent of freeways, imported water, and cheap land. Everyone started building on the mesa, hence Serra Mesa, and some of the other names of the towns around here. So Friars Road, which we're going to see just ahead, is actually running parallel. So if we swing back around here, and we're looking straight ahead here, we're back on San Diego Mission Road, then Friars Road is just parallel to this road to the north. And so we'll get a chance to actually see that from the bridge ahead. Now, if we look here towards the south, once again, you're going to see this plaza. It's just a mixture. And then straight ahead, you actually see we have the freeway, which is Interstate 8. And that runs from the ocean all the way out to Arizona, where it meets up with the 10. And at the end of this road, I don't know if you can see, but there's a 24-hour fitness. So here we are, industrial area. There's a gym. Okay, and right at that gym, there's actually a trolley stop. And that trolley stop is our San Diego rail line. It's a light rail, and it's part of the Green Line. And this is why they are building some of this housing that we are looking and seeing, this newer housing, is because San Diego has an initiative that's part of their community plan to build towards public transit to cut down on people commuting in cars. So with that being said, we're going to cross the street here. We cross the street, and now you can actually see, so once again, we've got the modern, contemporary, high density, very skinny, tall housing. And once again, this was put in as an initiative to get people to commute less in their cars, live by public transport. And people, once again, never wanted to live here, but recently this area has been booming because of the college that's going in. We actually see a stadium event in progress sign here. That's actually saying that right now there's construction going on, but literally we're going to be walking past where the stadium used to be. And here we are. So we've got mixed land uses, residential, industrial, and I don't even know what you'd put a stadium in, but it's definitely, you know, not what you would normally see in neighborhoods mixed together. And then once again, this is the Irish pub and the restaurant. So we're going to continue west on San Diego Mission Road. And you can see what they've done here for this high density housing. It's very modern, very straight, and they've tried to add some nature here. Some, you know, the planting looks like a lot of drought resistant plants. But once again, people living in the city, they don't want to see the concrete jungle. They want to be out in nature. And so hence that's what we're seeing here. And then what we're going to be coming up to is we're going to be coming up to a bridge. And this bridge is going to be going over a couple of things. It's going to be going over a major interstate. It's also going to be going over a bike path. a water source. And so there's a lot of things going on all within the context of the city, making this area just a really unique area of San Diego. And if you look here on the left, we see some bottle brush plants, trees. And if you notice the parking is all off-street, which is an issue in this area. There was already a lot of congestion when the stadium was here. There was no parking. And now with this high-density housing going in, they've gotten it to where there's a lot of discussion going on right now with the public policy makers to remove any building height limits and to also make it to where parking is not mandatory. That means that more people can move into these homes. They don't have to offer parking and they can go as high as they want. And once again, they're really trying to develop this area. All right, so here we are right across from these residential new high-density houses, and we see we've got a City of San Diego. It looks like a Firefighters Association. We also have a San Diego Education Association and office space. And then right next to that, we have some more apartments. So we definitely have mixed uses. If we look up again at this new housing, let's talk about this really quick. So these were built in 2019. This was known as Mission Terrace. It went up as the low-income, high-density housing to be close to the trolley station, which we had talked about was just down the road. And because these went up, it actually was causing gentrification, as more people are flooding to the area to be closer to the new SDSU West campus and the public transit. And so it has caused the housing prices to go up significantly in this area, once again driving out the residents that were living in this area, therefore causing that gentrification. And you see more of the modern design now versus some of the other apartments and buildings. So it's not staying confluent with the rest of the neighborhood as far as the style. It's really more younger vibe, and it really is changing the neighborhood. And then if we go ahead and scroll back west here, okay, we're going to see that we're coming up to the bridge. And by the way, they're calling this area the new Little Italy, where everyone wants to be. Now, I don't know about that. I've been to Little Italy, San Diego, but that's what they've marked up this area, because once again, they've been really aggressive with the zoning, and they really want to do infill, and they want to just put in as many houses as possible. And here, you can see these are a little bit more with the local city sphere as far as the colors. There's a more of the Mission color, but once again, they're still really modern, still really straight line, and still you see a lot of concrete, a lot of metal, glass. So it's just very modern, contemporary, almost postmodern. And so this is what we're seeing in this area that has just been routinely Catholic Mission since the 1800s. Now across the street, we've got Bella Posta. Once again, another Mission name, another Mission style building. If you look at the roof tiles and you look at how it's made and the architecture. So once again, we've got a lot of varying different architectural styles all in one area. And now we're gonna go up over this bridge. And actually, if you look down, we even have some fake lawn mixed in with our nature. Once again, that Little Italy's posh. So this, you know, is, people want to see green space, but not necessarily real green space. So I think that's kind of funny. So here we have some fake grass mixed in with our real nature. So once again, humans infringing on nature, nature infringing on humans. And this is what we come up with. You can see here, we actually have garages. You look here, very dense, lots of height. Lots of sharp lines, garages underneath. Once again, the Mission Terrace apartments. Alright, and so people can sit out. They do have little balconies, it looks like. So people can sit out, they can enjoy the fresh air. They can be, you know, on suburbia here, so they're outside of the city, but they can still be close to the local action. And so what we're going to see as we come across this bridge here is you're going to see a trail to the right, and that trail actually leads to a bike trail, and that's been here for some time. But what you're going to see is you're going to see that there's no safe way to cross this bridge on the side that we're on, at least. On the other side, there's a sidewalk, so we're going to be really careful going over this bridge. But once again, we're going to be going over an interstate. The interstate is I-15. And we're also going to be going over Murphy Canyon Bike Lane. Now, we're also going to see what's called Friars Road. And Friars Road is that road I was telling you about earlier that sits parallel to this. It's a major transport road in this area that kind of connects it. And so we're going to stop on this bridge and talk a little bit about it. If you look down here, so we are once again by a water source. We're by a freeway source, and unfortunately we have a lot of homeless in this area. And so what you're seeing here is kind of what happens when we have people that are displaced from their homes, or we have housing that's unaffordable in the city. And so people want to be close to, you know, areas that are more in nature, areas that can be used as shelter and water, and we actually have all three here. So if you notice here, we saw a lot of trash. I also see a lot of just like drug paraphernalia to my right. We've got some bicycles and stuff in the trees. Maybe some bottles of some sort. And you see a hole that comes over here. So you just see this is modern urban development. This is kind of, you know, man infringing on nature. I'm going to pause this video right now so I can get up to the other side of the bridge so I don't get hit by a car. Alright, so here we are on the opposite side of the road, and we're looking, this is Interstate 15. These cars are heading north right now. It's a little bit hard to hear, sorry, there's a lot of wind and noise. Once again, we're in an urban city, but we're on the suburbs, and people are able to get out here because of the freeways. So what we're seeing here is a lot of development on the side of the freeway, lots of plants, beautification, to try to make it a pretty place, but we also see a lot of trash. Straight down, we see some homeless encampments. So it looks like a makeshift house. And then we're gonna go ahead and swing over, we're gonna go over the bridge now, and then we're gonna look up and down the 15. So let's go ahead and go. So it's going to get a little bit hard to hear me. But we're going to stop and look up and down so you can see the freeway here. This is the 15 freeway. That's looking south. And then we're going to swing back. And actually you can see what we're going to be seeing next, which is the development of San Diego State University West. It's home of the new site for the extension of our school, and it was at one time a stadium. They started to demolish it this year, so we'll be talking about that. This is a really great vantage point to see what they've done. And now we're going to look north. And so here north, you can even see there's different layers and levels to the freeway. We've got off ramps and on ramps, and that other bridge we see right in front of us, that's Friars Road. And so we're going to talk about that right now, but if you look up in the distance on either side, you can see housing. On the right side, we see apartments. And on the left side, we see a lot of single-family residences, and that is Sarah Mesa. We also are seeing a petroleum pipeline storage facility. And we actually have two of them. There's one here in the foreground, and if you look over behind Friars Road, we see another one called Kinder Morgan in the background. So we're going to go across the bridge just to get out of this noise, and I'll talk a little bit about Friars Road, this interstate, and also the bike path we'll see on the other side. So here we are on the other side, and once again you can see the vast expansion. The stadium has completely been demolished. They just took down the last piece about a day or two ago. And they have made all this fertile ground now for San Diego State West. So they are repurposing, restoring, reusing land, right? Part of that infill and kind of changing land uses. What we're also looking at down here is what is known as the Murphy Canyon Trail. It's a bicycle trail. You can see it's actually closed down right now. There's a whole bunch of fences right there. They closed it down when they started construction of San Diego State West. But this was created by bicyclists so that they had a safe place to be able to get across these main roads like Friars Road and get across Mission Valley. Because all of this here that we're hearing, all this traffic, we're in the middle of a valley here. And so there was no safe access to transit for bicyclists. So that's where that came from. We're also seeing water here, and this water is from the Alvarado Creek, and this is leading to the San Diego River. So once again, another reason why the mission wanted to be here. They were close to a local access of water, and the same reason why the homeless want to be here is because they are close to local access of water. But not only the homeless, animals, there's a lot of animals that live by the water, so we have what's called an ecotone. This is where we're seeing humans and nature kind of infringing upon each other, and you have that line between the two, and that line is demarcated with the fence. We also see it with concrete, and we see it with the trail. And if you notice, we see a lot of the elements of urban living. We've got some graffiti here. We've got, looks like a manhole, and we've got a lot, it looks like a car battery. So you see that we have elements here of urban living in a natural environment. Once again, we're on the fringes here in suburbia, not the hinterland per se, but definitely mixing. Now, if we look across the way, I want to point out first, there is no railing where we are right now on the bridge. So it's very, very dangerous. Cars fly by on this road. So once again, they need a safe transit corridor here. And on the other side of the bridge, it's even worse. That railing is about the height of my knee. So I can literally go and just fall off of that bridge and fall into the incoming traffic. So developments need to be made in this area. Now let's talk about Friars Road. So Friars Road was built as an expressway and created an ecotone between nature and the canyon. And so once again, we're in a valley. And you can see the canyons on both sides. And they had to modify it because you see how fast those cars are flying right now. Well, they had to make it safe for local citizens. And so they had to add these things called diamond interchanges with signalized intersections at the ramp. So we're going to see a ramp in a little bit. So this connected with Murphy Canyon Road, and that actually is going to be this road that you see right down here, right where that red car just went. That's Murphy Canyon Road. And what happened was this was named after John Murphy, a prominent farmer during that time period. It was that major north-south road I spoke of earlier until the 1970s when it was bypassed by State Route 15. And then in the 1900s, Murphy Canyon Road was just a cow path. So it was a cow path turned to a dirt road, and now it's just a dead road. It's not really used, okay? And then right here what we're seeing is petroleum pipeline storage for trucks. There's actually two of them. We'll walk a little bit this way. Okay. And by the way, the Interstate 15, that was built in the early 1970s, and it replaced US 395, and some sections of that highway are now what's called Interstate 163. But it was built as a state route, and it used to stop right here. And then in order to catch it south again, you had to take local roads down to 40th Street and jump on the main streets there to get back on the 15th south. So it's been a work in progress. It is now an interstate. It was a state route. It's now an interstate because they introduced a bus transit program. And here's another great sweep of all the area that's being redeveloped. So you kind of see how massive this is. It's 166 acres. And what you're seeing back here is not a bridge for cars, but that's a trolley bridge. And so the trolley stop will actually come right up here to the school. So once again, we're in an area that is a transit corridor, and hence why they want to build all of the housing close to here. And if we actually look back east, you can see all that modern housing now from afar. So there's those old mission apartments. Here's the bridge we just walked over. And then here is the modern housing that we were looking at. And once again, they want to develop that whole area for this college area. And so, okay, so these are part of the Santa Fe pipelines, and the ones that we saw before on the other side of Friars Road, that's Kinder Morgan. And Kinder Morgan is actually the largest petroleum pipeline producer with gas, carbon dioxide, petroleum, etc. in the country. And that's actually their headquarters right here in San Diego. So you literally look above these pipeline canisters and you're seeing single family home residences. So something you wouldn't normally see. You wouldn't think you would see these types of land uses mixed. But once again, this was farmland, and then it had a stadium here, and so they have some pipelines just kind of thrown in there. Okay, so not necessarily a legible city, not necessarily a walkable city. You definitely have some different landmarks and things of that nature, but not the kinds that we're looking for in a really, you know, livable city. For the SDSU West site, as I said, it was currently, or it was fertile farmland, and then in 1965, construction began on the San Diego Stadium to be home to the Padres. And originally, when they built it, it had 50,000 seats. The first game was played here in 1975, and it also became home to the San Diego Chargers, and a Super Bowl was actually played here, which is when they expanded it for the last time, making it a total of 67,544 seats for that occasion. It was the largest stadium with parking in the country, and it was renamed to Jack Murphy Stadium in 1981, and then Qualcomm Stadium in 1997, and finally SDCCU, which is San Diego County Credit Union, in 2017. Now, our San Diego State Aztecs used it for football until 2019, when it was finally shut down, and now you see what's being left of it because they started demolishing it the first day of this year. And already today, here we are 26 days into March, and it's already been completely demolished. So once again, repurposing, redeveloping, and they're going to be using it for housing, retail, and educational uses. So it should hopefully make this area more attractive. It should bring some more community livability, some more transit friendly to the area. And with the education, hopefully it'll help with the economy as well. So good economic development. Current homeowners are a little concerned about congestion and more pollution. They experienced a lot of traffic congestion, parking issues, and crime when the stadium was here. So they are expecting to see the same with the college. And then the San Diego River Park Foundation actually takes care of the San Diego River, which you can't really see here, but where the trolley line is, if you notice all the green trees out there. So once again, this Alvarado Creek runs and smacks into the San Diego River, which is one of our largest water supplies here in the county. And that San Diego River, it gets very polluted. A lot of homeless live along it. And so the San Diego River Park comes out and they clean it up, and they do a lot of other really great things as well. But they had bid on this land. They wanted rights to this land, and they wanted to put a 166-acre river park as a public park to the people of the community. And they were going to make it part of the city of San Diego's general plan. They were going to have a trail corridor, and they wanted to really meet the green space, the nature needs of the 20,000 residents that live around this area. And unfortunately, they lost that bid. So we'll see what San Diego State does. And now we're going to take a walk. We're going to stop recording until we get to the end of this, but we're just going to take a walk to the end here, and we're going to see another mission bell, and then we're going to see some ramps and modern day amenities that were added to Friars Road. So here we actually see one of the trucks for the pipeline going in. They're going to Kinder Morgan, that you can see in the background of that bridge. That bridge is Friars Road once again, and this is the entrance to what used to be Murphy Canyon Trail, that main road in San Diego that went north or south. That was a cow path in the 1900s, and then in the later 1900s, it became the major route until the freeway, the 15 freeway, which was just parallel to that, was built in the 1970s. And once again, we're seeing the Santa Fe pipeline. And then here to our left, we can actually see there's quite a bit of nature here. There's no development because we're between two streets. So not really an area where you can develop, but there's a lot of homeless that live on the hills here, and we might actually see another homeless encampment. But we're going to come up to the corner now and see the mission. We're at the end of the road, and here is the SDCCU stadium sign. Once again, no stadium is behind it. There's still a little bit of the concrete, which was the concourses that people would go through. You can see the D, but that is it. The actual stadium itself is gone. So we are looking southwest right now. We're going to swing a little bit, and we're going to look, and here's one of those mission bells I told you about from the El Camino Real Trail. So once again, this is about a mile down the road from where we started. And so they would have these every mile to 2 miles to mark their way. And so here we see one in play. You can see El Camino Real on the bell itself. And now we're also seeing right here is modern development. So once again, Friars Road was really dangerous. And they had to put these ramps, these diamond triangulations in to slow down traffic. And so we're going to be coming up to a ramp right here. We also see wheelchair accessibility. We see electronic crossing signs. This is all modern, just to make it more accessible for people, especially as it was a stadium. People would walk from the surrounding neighborhood. So we're going to walk a little bit so you can see. So once again, modern, wheelchair accessible. They now have the crossing signs here. These are the ones that you can push. These are the ones that you can also hear. So people that are deaf or handicapped, so they're becoming more livable cities. And then here, these are some of the ramps I was talking about. If you look left, you can see the cars are coming off a ramp right now. And once again, this was breaks and point, right? So that people on Friars Road could get off because it was a very dangerous street. And there's one also to our right. So here, you can see this ramp. And so there's 3 of these on Friars Road, and these are break points on it. And once again, this was to slow down traffic, make it so that people could cross the street. But what it doesn't allow for is it doesn't allow animals to cross the street. There is no corridor for nature. And so therefore you've got that clear, edge of what we would call a city. It's a defining edge. Not only do we have roads, we have canyons, we have interstates all in one area. So you're really dissecting nature here from a lot of different angles. And you do get some of those echo tones as well, where we're sharing space with animals. So now we're going to go over the bridge that goes over Friars Road, and then we'll be done with our tour. So here we are, we're on the bridge overlooking Friars Road, and we're looking east right now. So once again, this was a major road that people would use in the 1950s, 1960s. And you can see part of the ramp I was talking about. Here's the ramp coming off, the ramp's going on, and so they had to put those in to stop traffic. If we swing around, you can actually see Friars Road going into Mission Valley. And Mission Valley is a big valley here in San Diego, home to many people, sits in a floodplain. And as we actually look north, we are coming into Serra Mesa now. And Serra Mesa is actually where I live. But you'll notice that there is this mountain, and this is creating an actual edge. An edge between all this industrial and the stadium and the college. And so that edge is specifically why people moved out here. They moved out here to suburbia, and up in these neighborhoods you don't have all of this industrial mixed land use like you do right here in Grantville. And so once people go up through those mountains, they go back to their suburbia, they go back to their white middle class neighborhoods, and so there definitely is a separation of the classes. We definitely saw gentrification happening. We had a lot of lower middle class. Now we're going to more of the middle class, not necessarily upper middle class, but at least middle class. And so you can definitely see how nature and humans and development and design all kind of changes. We got a lot of different periods here over 100 years. Thanks so much for watching.